If you wanted to know how events in AWS affects your services and your resources, then you would use the personal health dashboard. So this is the little bell icon you see on the top right corner of your console, and it is a global service, and it will show how outages happening within AWS will directly impact you. It will show you the impact on your resources, so you can see if your EC2 instances or EBS volumes have maintenance upcoming, and it will list issues and actions you can do to remediate them. So the important thing to know is that it will show you all the maintenance events from AWS, and this is a keyword to look for in the exam. You can also access all this information programmatically using an API called the AWS Health API. And finally, there's a capability, if you have enabled AWS organizations, to aggregate all the information from your accounts in your organization in one place. And here is the URL in case you need it. Now let's talk about health event notifications. So you can use EventBridge or CloudWatch events to react to changes to your health events for your account. So we have the personal health dashboard that will trigger an event in CloudWatch events or EventBridge. Okay. For example, you may want to receive a notification whenever EC2 instances in your account are scheduled for updates. In this case, you would set up this notification and then you would line it up with a target. So this cannot be used to return public events. So all the service health dashboard events cannot be intercepted here. They have to be using the RSS, if you remember. But with this, we can enable use cases to capture notifications for our accounts. For example, sending notifications, capture event informations, or take automatic corrective actions if you know how to do so using some automation. So CloudWatch events or EventBridge can invoke Lambda, SNS, SQS, or Kinesis data streams. And then, for example, if you have Lambda, you can do whatever you want with it and take some corrective action if this is something that happens a lot in your accounts. So that's it. Now let's have a look at the health dashboard. So what I'm going to do now is click on this bell icon. As you can see right now, there's 0 open issues, schedule changes, or other notifications. But I can click on event log and see what has happened in my account. And so as you can see, some days, for example, June 30th, there was an Athena engine version auto upgrade notification and one entity was affected. Or an EC2 instance recovery, no action because it's something I triggered during my recording, and it affected one resource. So you can see all this kind of issues and whether or not they were closed. For example, there was an EC2 operational issue right here, and it gives you the region, so US East 2, the category, whether or not it affected some resources, and what was the description of that issue, which was right here. You can also get some information around the affected resources here if you have many. So this becomes very, very, very helpful. Then there is a dashboard, okay? And the dashboard shows you how many issues in the past 7 days, schedule changes, and other notifications. And as you can see, you can create a CloudWatch event rule to create rules and receive notifications for events that might affect your infrastructure. So let's have a look at it. So what I'm going to do is go to CloudWatch events, but actually I'm going to go into EventBridge to show you the newer interface because they're similar. And here we have a rule and we can create a rule and I'll call it PhD demo rule. And then we have to look for an event pattern by service. And the service provider is going to be AWS and the service name is going to be health. Okay. Now we need to select an event type. So we can have all events or specific health events, but we're going to use all events. And then it shows you what a sample event can be for this. So for example, this is an elastic load balancing issue with a start date and an end date and so on. So we can get notified of all these events right here through CloudWatch events. And then the cool thing is that you can select targets and invoke a Lambda function or send a message to an SNS topic and so on, or all really the destinations that are listed right here for your health event to be intercepted. So this is one way of doing it. And the other way is to query all this information using the health API. As you can see, you can also get an organization-wide view. And so the idea is that you set up organizations and then you enable organizational view for AWS Health and you'll be good to go. And I'm pretty lucky because I just got an issue with my PhD. So I'm trying to launch 2 EC2 instances right now for another lecture. And it turns out that they're in pending state for a long time. And for me, this looks a bit odd. So I looked at my personal health dashboards and see that there's one open issue. So I can click on it and see that there is an open issue that's affecting me right now. So I'm pretty unlucky, but pretty lucky regarding recording purpose. And so as we can see in EU Central 1, there is an EC2 operational issue. And the event data is showing me that there is an instance connectivity issue. So there is increased error rates and latencies for the EC2 API and connectivity issues for some instances within a single AZ in the EU Central region. So it doesn't detect that my instances are affected. It's probably because my instances are not launched just yet. But as you can see, this was shown in my PhD. And so I can explain what is happening regarding my EC2 instances just yet, even though I find it extremely annoying. So the only thing I have to do is to wait for this to be resolved. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you understand now the usefulness of this service. I hope you like this lecture, and I will see you in the next lecture.